Okay, so everyone's asking, what's going to happen to Maduro? And those are the wrong questions. The real question is, how do you run a country of 30 million people who hate you? How do you govern a nation that doesn't want you there? Because the Pentagon is very good at planning invasions. They're terrible at planning occupations. Okay? So, I'm going to walk you through exactly how America intends to run Venezuela after the military action. Because there's a playbook. We've seen it before. Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, it always fails. Venezuela will be no different. So let me show you the plan. Okay, the first thing you need after an invasion is a face, a local face. Someone who looks Venezuelan, sounds Venezuelan, but takes orders from Washington, okay? America already has candidates. They've been grooming them for years. The first option is Juan Guaido. In 2019, America declared him the legitimate president of Venezuela. Over 50 countries recognized him. He gave speeches, he did photo ops, he tried to lead a military uprising that failed miserably. Then, everyone forgot about him. He lives in Miami now. He has zero support inside Venezuela. He's completely discredited. But he's their guy. He's ready to go. The moment Maduro is captured, they can fly Guaido into Caracas on an American military aircraft, drive him to the presidential palace, and swear him in. Democracy restored. That's how it works, okay? The second option is Maria Corina Machado. She's the opposition leader who won the primary in 2023. She was banned from running by the Maduro government. She's more popular than Guaido. She actually has some support inside Venezuela. But the problem is that she is not respected by the majority of the people. That's actually a problem. So Machado might be too risky, okay? The third option is Leopoldo Lopez, another opposition figure in exile in Spain, very connected to American neocons, hates the Chavistas, would do whatever Washington says. He's a safer choice than Machado, more controllable, okay? The fourth option is a military defector. Find some general who's willing to flip, promise him power, promise him money, promise him protection, use him as the face. Venezuelan military man leads new government, looks legitimate. Every decision runs through Washington. So within days of the invasion, the first plane after the military is the IMF and World Bank. Okay? They land in Caracas, they set up in the finance ministry, they start making demands. Structural adjustment, austerity, privatization, deregulation. These are the conditions for loans. The puppet government has no choice. They need the money, they sign whatever is put in front of them. Okay? Then come the American consultants. They go into every ministry, finance, energy, interior, defense. Every single ministry gets American advisors. Officially, they're there to help, to provide expertise, to assist with reconstruction. But really, they're there to control. Every decision runs through them. Every policy is approved by them. The Venezuelan ministers are figureheads. The Americans run the show, okay? Then come the private military contractors. Academy, that's the new name for Blackwater. Triple Canopy, DynCorp. These companies provide security for the puppet government, for the American embassy, for the oil installations. They're outside the chain of command. They don't follow military law. They can do things the regular military can't do. Interrogations, assassinations, dirty work. They cost billions. Billions that Venezuelan oil revenue will pay for, okay? Now, the oil, okay? Because everything else is decoration. The democracy talk, the human rights talk, the drug trafficking talk, that's all for public consumption. The real reason is the oil. Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world. Over 300 billion barrels. Larger than Saudi Arabia, larger than Iran. And right now, American companies can't touch it. PDVSA, the state oil company, controls everything. Chinese companies have contracts. Russian companies have contracts. American companies are frozen out. That's unacceptable to Washington, okay? What happens after the invasion? PDVSA gets privatized or broken up. Same thing. The state oil company is dismantled. American companies get the contracts. ExxonMobil, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Occidental. The same companies that were kicked out by Chavez 20 years ago. They come back, okay? Here's how they justify it. These companies have legal claims. ExxonMobil has a $10 billion arbitration award against Venezuela for assets seized by Chavez. ConocoPhillips has an $8 billion award. These awards have been sitting there for years. unenforceable because Maduro won't pay. But the new puppet government honors these claims. They recognize the awards. They pay with oil revenue. Okay? The Chinese contracts, canceled. Russia contracts, canceled. All those deals Maduro signed, illegitimate. Signed by an illegitimate government, not valid. The new government doesn't recognize them. China loses $60 billion in investments. Russia loses everything they put in. American companies take over. That's the plan. Okay? And Venezuela becomes an American gas station again. Just like before Chavez. Oil flows to Houston refineries. Profits flow to American shareholders. Venezuela gets enough to keep the puppet government running. The Venezuelan people get nothing, just like before. Except now, they also have American troops on their soil. Okay, Venezuela has over $150 billion in debt, bonds, loans, obligations. Most of this debt is in default. Venezuela stopped paying years ago, couldn't afford it. Sanctions made it impossible. So the bonds collapsed. They traded at 10 cents on the dollar, 5 cents, pennies. Who bought them? Hedge funds, American hedge funds, vulture funds. They specialize in buying distressed debt and then squeezing countries for full payment, okay? Elliott Management. That's Paul Singer's fund. Notorious. They sued Argentina for 15 years over defaulted bonds. They seized an Argentine naval ship in Ghana. They made over 1,000% return. They hold Venezuelan debt, lots of it, bought for pennies. They're waiting for regime change, waiting for a new government that will honor the debts, okay? Who pays for this? Venezuelans. The oil revenue that should go to Venezuelan schools, Venezuelan hospitals, Venezuelan infrastructure, that money goes to Wall Street for decades. The IMF provides bridge loans, but with conditions: austerity, spending cuts, privatization of state assets. The Venezuelan people suffer, the hedge funds get rich. That's how it works, okay? I want to be clear about this. The debt vultures are part of the coalition pushing for invasion. They fund think tanks that call for regime change. They fund politicians who push for intervention. They have lobbyists in Washington. They're not doing it for democracy. They're doing it because they hold billions in Venezuelan bonds. Invasion is the only way they get paid. Okay, China has invested over $60 billion in Venezuela. Oil for loan agreements, infrastructure projects, joint ventures with PDVSA. China is Venezuela's largest creditor. They've been keeping Maduro afloat for years, buying oil, providing loans, political support. In exchange, they get access to the largest oil reserves in the world, access to a foothold in America's backyard. Okay, America cannot tolerate this. The Monroe Doctrine says the Western Hemisphere belongs to America. Foreign powers don't get to have influence here. China has influence, massive influence, in Venezuela, in Brazil, in Argentina, in Peru, in Chile. The invasion of Venezuela is partly about stopping this, about sending a message: get out of our hemisphere, okay? And the same with Russia. Rosneft has oil assets in Venezuela. Russia has sold military equipment, S-300 systems, aircraft, tanks. Russia has military advisors there. All of that gets kicked out. The new government cancels the contracts, returns the equipment, maybe, or just seizes it. Russia loses everything, okay? Now, will China and Russia accept this quietly? No, absolutely not. They will retaliate in ways we discussed earlier. Taiwan, Ukraine, Middle East, cyber attacks. But from America's perspective, that's a separate problem. The goal in Venezuela is achieved. China is out. Russia is out. American companies are in. The hemisphere is secured. Whatever happens elsewhere is worth it. That's the calculation. Okay, after the initial military action, after Maduro is captured, after the puppet is installed, the troops don't go home. They stay. Because the puppet government cannot survive without American protection. The moment the troops leave, the government falls. The Chavistas come back. The revolution resumes. So America has to stay permanently, okay? This means bases, American military bases in Venezuela, near the oil fields, near the ports, near the Colombian border, near the Brazilian border. These bases are permanent, like the bases in Germany, like the bases in Japan, like the bases in South Korea. American military presence forever, okay? It means training a new Venezuelan military, because the old military was loyal to Chavez, then Maduro. They can't be trusted. So you have to build a new military from scratch. American trainers, American doctrine, a military that's loyal to the puppet government, which means loyal to Washington, okay? It means intelligence presence, CIA stationed in Caracas, NSA monitoring everything, infiltrating the Chavista networks, tracking the insurgency, running informants. This is permanent too, because the threat never goes away. The Chavistas don't just disappear. They go underground. They fight. You need intelligence to fight them forever, okay? So the security architecture is permanent occupation. Maybe not called that. Maybe called partnership. Maybe called alliance. But American troops on Venezuelan soil, American bases on Venezuelan territory, American control over Venezuelan security forever. That's the plan. Okay, let me start with Iraq, because Iraq is the closest parallel. In 2003, America invaded Iraq. Quick military victory. Saddam captured. Mission accomplished. Then what? Then the occupation. The occupation was a disaster, okay? So they set up something called the Coalition Provisional Authority, run by Paul Bremer, an American. Bremer made decisions. He disbanded the Iraqi military. 400,000 armed men suddenly unemployed. He banned Ba'ath Party members from government jobs. De-Ba'athification. Hundreds of thousands more unemployed. Guess what happened? Those people became the insurgency. They had weapons, they had training, they had nothing to lose. They fought for years, okay? The same thing would happen in Venezuela. De Chavismo. You can't have Chavistas in the government, you can't have Chavistas in the military, you can't have Chavistas in the police, so you fire them all. They become the insurgency, the colectivos, the armed militias. They have weapons, they have organization, they have 20 years of revolutionary identity. They fight, just like Iraq, okay? The oil. In Iraq, they promised oil revenue would pay for reconstruction, pay for everything. It didn't happen. The oil industry was degraded, sabotage, corruption, mismanagement. Production never recovered to pre-war levels. The same would happen in Venezuela. The oil industry is already degraded. Production has fallen from 3 million barrels a day to less than 1 million. It takes years to rebuild, billions in investment, expertise that has fled the country. Meanwhile, the insurgency is blowing up pipelines, kidnapping engineers, sabotaging everything, okay? Iraq cost trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, hundreds of thousands of Iraqi lives. What did America get? Nothing. A destabilized country, Iranian influence greater than ever, ISIS emerging from the chaos. Eventually, America left. Iraq is still a mess. That's the Iraq model. That's what they're planning for Venezuela. Okay, America invaded Haiti in 1915, occupied it until 1934, controlled its finances until 1947. Since then, constant intervention. Duvalier was America's dictator for decades. When he fell, chaos. Aristide was elected democratically. America helped overthrow him twice. Then UN occupation. Then NGO colonialism. Thousands of NGOs. Billions in aid. Haiti is still the poorest country in the hemisphere. Still unstable. Still collapsing. Right now, there's gang warfare. No functioning government. After over 100 years of American intervention. Okay? Now, let me bring this together. How does America intend to run Venezuela after military action? Phase 1, install the puppet. Guaido, or Machado, or Lopez, or some general. Fly them in, swear them in, call it democracy. Phase 2, the advisors arrive. IMF, World Bank, American consultants, USAID, private contractors. They take control. Real power flows through them. Phase 3, privatize the oil, break up PDVSA. American companies get contracts. Chinese contracts canceled. Russian contracts canceled. Oil revenue flows to Houston. Phase 4, pay the vultures. Recognize all the debt. Hedge funds get paid. Venezuelans suffer austerity. State assets sold off. Phase 5, kick out China and Russia. All their investments gone. Message sent. Hemisphere is American. Phase 6, build the security architecture. Permanent bases. New military trained by Americans. Intelligence presence. Occupation forever. Phase 7, it all collapses anyway. Insurgency. Chaos. Quagmire. Just like Iraq. Just like Libya. Just like Haiti. Because it always fails. Here's the thing. They know it will fail. Some of them at least. They've seen Iraq. They've seen Afghanistan. They know how this goes. But they don't care. Because the goal isn't success. The goal is the process. The oil contracts get signed. The hedge funds get paid. The bases get built. The weapons get sold. By the time it collapses, the money has already been made. The profits have already been extracted. Someone else deals with the mess. Okay? That's really what this is. It's not about Venezuela. It's not about democracy. It's not about drug trafficking. It's about extraction. Oil extraction. Wealth extraction. Venezuelans are just in the way, just like Iraqis were in the way.